Alright, looks like we're getting underway.
Are you enough doing to rescue Zelda?
We're gonna find out.
Definitely, as we get a 5-bomb upgrade, which is in and of itself quite interesting, as if we do get the bomb from the uncle, we will... I believe the 10-bomb that uncle gives you will fill your entire capacity. Not sure about that.
If I recall correctly, it will give you 15.
Yeah, I do believe that it does fill you, even though the item, if it is not at uncle, which we will find out, and it is the bow. In fact, your prediction is correct, as it is one of the fastest. Our runners will definitely be happy to see that. Does make the Eastern Palace play a bit more appealing, being able to immediately full clear.
Right, and we do see both players here electing to farm for bombs. That is going to be their next quest right now. They already have the uncle item, so they know what they're going to be dealing with. It's a very, very fast item, probably the fastest escape clear weapon, but they are going to be looking for that bomb.
Yeah, that bomb does give them access to 3 additional chests at the end of the escape. Although so far only having found capacity upgrades, really what else are runners going to find?
Yeah, pretty boring so far, but with an early bow, it can kind of spice up how the logic perceives the seed just at the beginning. Eastern Palace, Pendant or Crystal, look for both our runners to maybe dip in there to see what they can get.
Very nice killer from both of these runners, getting the vanilla map from the vanilla map chest. We'll be continuing their way into the dungeon. Just a couple more rooms to go before we reach the damsel in distress Zelda herself.
Right, and pretty boring so far, as you mentioned, just capacity upgrades and maps. But let's see if the second Blue Guard chest and Pollen Chain kind of spice things up a little. Oh baby, there you go.
Oh my. That is probably the most perfect item to find in a bow escape. The silver arrows, of course. Being able to immediately put that to use kills pretty much every enemy in one hit, with the exception of a couple of bosses.
Yeah, so if this was a swordless seed, this is probably the best start you could ever hope for. Silver arrows, so free. Gonna make it very easy for our runners to kind of navigate the world without a sword for now.
Child's play. This escape has been so far. Getting a 5 rupee for reaching the princess. Will be making their way backwards through the dungeon to bring her out to the sanctuary, of course. Indeed, a very free escape so far.
Alright, and they're still without that bomb, though. As you alluded to, it does open up 3 chests in the back of escape. If they aren't able to find a bomb, that can get them into weird scenarios where there might be a glove in that back 3, and they might actually have to make through the escape sewer twice.
Yeah, and if the lamp has not been found the second time around, I don't believe you get a free light cone. Although thankfully on our first run through, we will get a free light cone as to accommodate the lamp being in a couple more, let's say, creative spots, as opposed to always being found within the escape sequence. Meanwhile, as both runners do reach the halfway point, as well as a safety checkpoint in case they happen to run out of arrows, they can opt to save and quit, and they will replenish a portion of that ammunition.
Ben going for the hero snipe on the top right rat. Missed it just because of the RNG there. And there's our bomb. So Snake Prize Pack's going to drop it, so Smight should see a bomb drop as well.
There it is. Both runners at 1 bomb will get 1 shot at the wall coming up, as we do find the required small key in order to open this door. But other than that, we are going to have 3 very quick item checks here.
Yeah, which is nice, because you don't want to have that weighing on your mind. Did your opponent find the bomb? Are you both bombless through escape? It can be a very scary thought.
Yeah, especially if you come back later and something is there, you might start to be feeling behind and taking a couple of gambles. Of course, thankfully, both runners did get the bottom rope from the ropes. We'll be able to check all three of the chests. As we see, we get a hard container, some money, and even more money. Definitely not unwelcome, but at this point, there are some better items to be found, of course.
I'd be happy finding the 300 rupees just because they're so poor coming out of escape right now. And if bombs aren't at tree pull or the crab prize, then that just gives them an easy out to buy them in Kakariko.
Yeah, in total, our runners will need 4 bombs to full clear the Kakariko area if they decide to immediately bomb open the race game as well. But we're still quite some time away, as Benteezy is the first onto the Hyrulean soil. We'll be making the quote-unquote meta play as we get a map check. All crystals, I believe, in our light world.
Yeah, Eastern now just looking even more salivating with that early bow and silver combo. Regardless of not having the lamp, I feel like both our players will be making that early dip.
Both of our runners opting to go for the southern entrance to the Lost Woods, as we found the flute. Wow, a very nice early item to get, as it does allow our runners to make some very efficient routing.
Right, will speed up their travels throughout Hyrule without the boots right now. Definitely a welcome item to find early. We just see 20 bucks in the Thieves Den here.
Ooh, gets... Oh, no, unfortunately that bomb drop dropping into the tree line. As we get full magic Tiganthas from the tree pull. Smight did manage to pick those up though, so Benteezy will have to spend a little bit of time buying some bombs down in southern Kakariko.
Which does suck because that will cost him about 20 seconds just going north to south for the Kakariko shop. He's going to go ahead and catch his flute here. Meanwhile, Smight will be entering in Blind's basement.
Yeah, you always like to see the immediate flute activation before you clear the Kakariko area, which also puts the one item in Death Mountain logic, as there is a flute point right on the mountain as well. So far, the bomb's not really paying out for Smight, finding only a piece of heart in the back of Blind's hut. Benteezy will, as you mentioned, have to buy those bombs for his tracks through the Kakariko area.
Yeah, it is rather unfortunate because he's going to have to burn north-south travel right now. Right, and Smight is opening up the well area. Only gets 20 rupees to start.
And another heart container. Definitely nice to find this early on, but by no means is it required. Wow. Already we are at Zora money. This seed's been pretty generous with the amount of money that's been given out. Of course, that 300 rupee from the escape being the main contributor, as you get a synchronous bottle vendor.
All right, and Smite's cashing in his flute now. Ben is going to be clearing out the well and Blind's basement. So other than that, bow, silvers, and flute, not a whole lot from the start of our race. Could lead to a dense South Shore and Lake Hylia routes with a lot of progression there. Could mean Sash and Eastern could be worth. Could also be a very slow siege to start and a lot of the worth in Dark World. We're just going to have to see how this kind of plays out.
Yeah, so far our runners have yet to find any pieces to the Darkwood puzzle, of course, still very early in the game, only 10 minutes. So there is definitely no saying who is ahead or behind, as our runners will be pretty much walking over each other's steps, as Smight will opt to also stock up on some extra bombs. Definitely not a bad idea, as bombs are quite a valuable resource.
Absolutely. You know, I'm starting to get the feeling that this seed might be pulling them towards the mountain with that early flute. I know we haven't seen Mirror Hammer or a hookshot yet, but we might see that very soon here.
Yeah, of course, the trolliest location would be inside a Spectacle Rock, any of those items.
That would be fantastic.
Shovel on the library, fetch quest for a fetch quest.
It looks like Ben actually elected to skip South Kakariko just to kind of save on that time that he lost by going to the shop. And it's going to pay off for now with only 300 rupees at the race game and the shovel at library. He is going to want to skid out that library soon because we don't know what the spade will be able to get our players. Of course, they're going to have to find the boots first to get that shovel as well.
Yes, boots, as of yet, still eluding us. Although we do find the blue boomerang, objectively the best boomerang.
Absolutely, it is.
As we will see Benteezy taking on the southern shore. Has to be pretty careful. Is still in green mill, but does have a fair amount of hearts. And speaking of hearts, that will be our stun prize for this seed.
Very handy information to get early on. Could help him out in a jam in a couple of dungeons coming up. Oh, he thought about getting those arrows.
Oh, gets the nice double grab. Unless one of them despawned for the... Oh no, he did grab both of them. Interesting. Oh my god, oh my god! Please.
All these
Zora, anyone? Oh, now unfortunately Zora is technically not within logic due to the absence of the power glove or the flippers, but there is a minor glitch that our runners are allowed to perform to reach that area sooner than intended.
Right. So we still don't really have anything from South Shore. So right now, look for items that are going to really open up light world exploration. And as I mentioned with Hammer, Mirror, or Hookshot, also look for the flippers to come into play now. Ben, of course, saluting his appreciation for the 20 rupees in the Ice Rod chest by fluting to it.
Definitely a nice gesture, as Benteezy is going to opt for the Eastern Palace compound area. 3 chests behind Sahasrara, as well as perhaps some information on the location of that green pendant, which will unlock an additional item from Sahasrara himself.
Right, and Smight is going to follow suit with this as well. Can't argue with this play at all, really. Getting that early bow. Don't have the lamp to kind of have the clear of Eastern in logic, but it is a crystal, so both our players should probably finish this off.
And that's our progression, at least part one of our progression. As we find out that Maya is our green pendant for today.
Right, and as you were talking about Zora, Zora is actually now in logic with that glove.
Yeah, silver arrows, bow in hand, and with his skill level up to these runners, I doubt that dark rooms are going to be any trouble. So both runners will be able to retrieve all of the items hidden within this dungeon.
They also have 10 hearts too. That's pretty crazy for this early on.
Oh wow, this has been a very healthy seed. Now, speaking of hearts, I don't know if you've noticed, but wait, okay. Well, that's the thing apparently. Tires mids from the Eastern Palace. Definitely a good idea to go to Eastern Palace before Zora. That's for sure.
So we're basically a pearl away from Dark World access, and that might put us on that third option I mentioned earlier of maybe everything's going to be in Dark World here. Or at least for the time being.
Yeah, and with that, the Aghanim play is starting to die out slowly but surely. As both runners are taking very similar routing, making sure to check every single chest as to not miss a critical item.
Benteezy electing to utilize a rando-centric strat here of having the bow for the skeleton room instead of using pots, just sniping them with 2 arrows.
Yeah, Aristot's definitely the faster strat, as we saw Smight opting for the more NMG strat of using the pots by positioning himself in such a way that 2 of the skeletons spawn in invalid locations, and the other 2 get killed before they even have the time to spawn.
So getting the big key here and finishing off Eastern, technically not in logic. They do have a Flute and Titan mid here. Still no Pearl, still no Lamp. Very, very few locations they can actually check in logic right now. They have basically a Gina's Cave, Zora himself, and that one check you mentioned earlier in Death Mountain in Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see which paths our runners will elect to take, as we do get the vanilla big key. We'll be able to check the big chest as well as clear the way to the Armor's Knights.
All right, and we did see a dungeon item from that big chest, so Armos will have the final item here. All right, so the way these runners are going to want to set up the dark room is they're going to want to kill as many of those slimes as possible and actually find out where the mimic is, which they did, or the Igor, sorry.
Yeah,
very
indeed.
challenging without the sword.
Definitely, although our runner's making use of the bow, putting an arrow in the green Igor before it starts moving, so they can exactly see when it starts moving as well as where it is in general.
Smite's got to be careful here, and now he's out of arrows. Yeah, so he's going to piece out of Eastern.
That is very unfortunate, running out of arrows right before the boss. Benteezy, though, is making his way into the armors fight, and with silver arrows, it's not going to have any trouble. As Smight will opt to go for the east, for the the Death Mountain play. As Benteezy does get his first crystal, just shy of 20 minutes.
Yeah, and luckily for Smight, it was only 3 bombs dropping on Armos there. Oh, there's our first sword.
Yeah, speaking of swords. And only a big 20.
So Smight looks like he's going to go back into Death Mountain here. He's going to sequence break the old man. Meanwhile, Ben is going to be checking out Library and the South race game here.
Yeah, but he's going to find out that it is in fact not required. And it will be interesting to see what our runners are opting to do. Looks like Smight is going for the Zora play as Benteezy will attempt the Old Man Rescue. It's going to make use of that boomerang that he found in the dam area to kind of gauge where he's at as Smight is making his way up to the Zora's domain.
Right, I'd also like to point out that Ben actually did elect to skip library as well. I do know in the past that he is very favored towards not checking stuff that he doesn't have progression for, so such as lumberjacks, such as, say, the library. If he doesn't have boots, he doesn't really want to spend the time checking it. If we get magic powder, that's actually very nice to get out of the old man there.
Yeah, definitely. Both in terms of safety as well as being able to cross off another fetch quest off the list in terms of the Mad Batter in Kakariko Village. Meanwhile, Smight will be cuffing up the 500 rupees for the Zora item. The Moon Pearl! That is definitely worth the full investment. And with that, Aghanim sadly is no more until the end of the game. We have Dark World access.
Yeah, very, very thin Light World. Very interesting seed so far. It is going to push him towards extremely early Dark World with low gear here.
Meanwhile, our first bottle on the Desert Ledge. Now, without a book or a mirror, is as of yet unobtainable for a runner's spot. Will definitely be interesting to see if that is going to be the first bottle, as the Sickard in Kakariko Village does hide one item.
Right, a wee bit of a time hiccup there for Smight, forgetting he had the Flute to Kakariko. We did get a quick scout there of the Dark World. It did look like T-Rock Mire and Ice for the pendants.
Yeah, and with Thieves Town and Ice are the 5-6 crystals for today. So one will be vanilla as well in the Ice Palace, as we find the Uncle's Bombs in the chest game, and we know that is the Uncle's Bombs because it has a little 10 number on it. Benteezy is opting for the fake flippers route. Unfortunately, misses the easy setup, as this glitch does require you to be 1 pixel away from the screens as usual.
So a little bit of a quick tip there for fake flippering. If you're struggling with lining up without the sword or just in general, you can actually pop over to the right there on that right screen transition Ben was. Plant a bomb near you. The bomb blast will actually push you off to the farthest pixel, so you can just do an easy fake flipper every time.
Yeah, bombs are unable to push you past a screen transition, so you will just stop 1 pixel before the transition would have happened, which is exactly the requirement, as Benteezy is going to check out the camper under the bridge and get his heart for charity.
Yeah, 12 hearts. I think he has enough of those right now.
Yeah, hearts are definitely one of the items that our runners don't really need to see anymore. Smight is going to do the Southern Dark World loop. Oh, so many hearts already.
Very aggressive too from Smight. He's not even really checking a lot of the VOO area. He only really checked C-shaped house, and he's electing just to go right to the Stumpy and now to Hype Cave.
Yeah, in terms of item density, Hype Cave being at 5, one of the more dense locations. Of course, in previous versions, hence its name. This used to be a cave full of amazing items, so we'll just have to see if we're gonna have some reminiscing today. So far, though, not as hype.
We got those flippers finally.
Ooh.
So Bombos, flippers, and a shield from the Hype Cave there. Not bad. Meanwhile, Ben is going to be picking up his pearl from Zora. So it does appear Ben is going to follow suit to Smite and will be going towards Kakariko. He doesn't really have too many options with the type mid only right now. Ooh, hold the phone. He's gonna be checking out Meyer first.
Very interesting play indeed. We will get some information as to what medallion is required to get in. But without a sword, you are not actually able to cast the spell of the medallion. So our runners will be having to find the sword first. As Ether, a vanilla medallion is required to enter Misery Mire.
We see Ether. We also see from Ben's map check there that Swamp is in fact Earth Pendant. Doesn't get a whole lot in Mireshed and is going to elect to just peace out. He doesn't have the mirror or any means to kind of explore further.
Ooh, an interesting choice. Smight here, with those flippers, is going to go back to the Zora area to check the Waterfall Fairy. Gets a bunch of red items, although so far none of the required red items.
He has 14 hearts already.
Wow. I mean, the least this seed can do now is just never give them a male upgrade. But with that, Benteezy is going to get his 10-bomb drop from the chess game, and we might even see a small dip into Thieves down. Now, without that hammer, runners would like to wait on the Thieves down, as the big chest is locked behind a hammer requirement. So.
And he is dipping in for first 4, as you did see Ben was setting up a death warp by taking intentional damage by the ghost there. Smite, meanwhile, picked up his fire shield there in Agina's Cave, just running out checks that he probably could have checked in Late World.
Ooh, as we find the mushroom, which is another mystery item, as that is one of our fetch quests. So far, 3 have been found, 2 of which have been obtained.
Mushroom, of course, especially accessible now with the flute as well.
Yeah, as I was about to say, with the flute, you do have a spot right in front of the potion shop, so definitely a valuable check in the future as Benteezy continues on. Gets a red rupee, and we'll be checking the final chest of the 4 available. And as you mentioned, we'll be taking a death warp, and we are not going to see the continuation of Thieves Sound as of yet.
Yeah, that'd be a very strong gamble to kind of go in and continue on with Thieves without a weapon that can kill blind.
Oh yes, that is very true. Blind is affected by a wide assortment of items, but arrows are not one of them. Nor are bombs.
I was gonna say, nor are blue boomerangs, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is one boss in the game which is affected by the boomerang, and that is the Almost Knights. But I mean, if you've got like about 10 minutes to spare, go for it. But meanwhile, Smight will be taking a dive into the Skull Woods dungeon. Only 2 items, but fairly easily accessible. Most runners will opt to make this one of their first checks in the Dark World, as it is so openly available.
And Ben is kind of following Smite's suit here, and checking out the South Loop before dipping into more dungeons. Gets the sword at Digging Game. I do recall Smite skipping that. I wonder if that was intentional or maybe a forgetful kind of hiccup there. Smite, meanwhile, actually picking up his first bottle in Skull Woods now.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't yet have the mirror to make the check an easy one. Smite will continue forward, digging for that second item. As Benteezy is going to take the Jeremiah the Frog for a little walk. We'll probably be checking some of the Southern Dark World items.
It's actually a really good play now because he does have that sword. That's going to give him a very smooth option to flute back to 3, cash in the Smith, and then head back into Dark World. Maybe scout out Skull, but I think he's going to be heading into Thieves Town first. I also wonder if, when Ben finds his flippers, if he's going to continue on north towards Pyramid and Quickfish.
Oh, that does indeed become available as you are able to simply swim around those. Of course, we're receiving his flippers, as you mentioned, as well as his Bombos medallion.
Yeah, he hasn't saved and quit, so that's probably what he's going to do here. So I hope you guys like Frog World Tours, because we're going to see a pretty long one. All right, so in fact, Ben is going to cross Dark Hylia here and is heading on his way to Pyramid. Of course, he cannot scout out Pod with the Frog as a follower because he needs Kiki.
Yes, the game will only allow one follower at a time, so it does look like the Pyramid into the Catfish check is very likely. Of course, Catfish, one of the locations that's pretty hard to route in, as it is quite out of the way for just one item location. So often runners will either check it immediately or just leave it off their radar altogether.
Looks like he was thinking for a second there if he wanted to save and quit, but is going to elect to cash in Quickfish as well now. But speaking of, like, only one follower, can you imagine if they programmed it so you can have, like, multiple followers? Like, having the Frog, Purple Chest, Kiki.
Oh my god.
That'd be great. It's like Earthbound, except Link to the Past.
That would be amazing, yeah. And then you find Zelda somewhere. Blind as well.
So I do want to point out, Smight is actually electing to go a little further into Thieves Town right now. I think at this point he definitely forgot about Digging Game, and he's kind of hoping to find some sort of progression deep in Thieves here.
Now, of course, we might still see a major item coming up on in the Thieves Town attic. As Benteezy gets thrown a singular arrow, will noob right on out of that conversation, and we'll be cashing in the blacksmith.
Yeah, the Arrowfish strikes again. Ben gonna continue the Smith World Tour now and cash in the flipper lock locations that he can check. Primarily the Waterfall Cave. Not Smite's side of things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
An interesting thing to note is Ice Palace is within logic at the moment. And with that Bomber's Medallion, as well as the sword, we do have access to clear it with the exception of the Cold Stare boss.
That'd be a mean seed if it made you do that.
Yeah, Ice being one of a couple of dungeons that runners would rather not do. And if they have to do it rather in go mode than in full clear. Of course, with Randomizer being random, you're not always given a choice. As Benteezy will be delivering the long lost frog after a giant world tour.
Smight with some really nice dodging there on half a heart for like half of Thieves. Great work by him. Unfortunately, not quite rewarded getting the small key in blind cell. That's going to halt his progression throughout Thieves without that sword. Right, so Smight is going to elect to cash in the mushroom here. Meanwhile, it looks like Ben is going to be heading back in towards Thieves Town.
Yeah, with that sword, definitely not a bad choice, as we find the Ether Medallion required for Misery Maya, as we know of. Total Rock has yet to be checked for Medallion, but being a pendant, I'd rather not dip in there.
Right,
Now,
although he does have the Ether Medallion, he cannot enter in Misery Mire just yet without the hookshot and or boots.
Smight taking another dive into the Dark World, hopefully going to make his way down to the digging game to get his Pfizer sword. As Benteezy is making excellent use of the powder that we found earlier to top up his health, as he does intend to full clear this dungeon, with the exception, of course, of the big chest.
I was gonna say, it looked like he was going towards the frog there for a second, like, But yeah, Smight is heading towards the digging game. He does realize, uh-oh, I missed something. I don't think he's gonna be happy about it either.
Yeah, but at the same time, we'll be very happy to find the item, as it does allow him to progress further. And we'll be taking the back exit out of the digging game.
Alright, so that's going to send Smight right back to Thieves Town. Benteezy, making his way through, will be getting the small key from Blind Cell there. Not quite sure how many dungeon items they have found yet.
I do believe there is at least one item remaining, as Smight did check the chest besides Blind. So either our item is going to be hammerlocked, or Benteezy is going to show us exactly what Blind is holding on to for us.
Oh, so there is an item in that big chest, because they do have the map compass and big key here.
Oh, and apparently Smight did not have the money at the time of traversing there. And yes, we do see you.
That's the worst. The forced double dip Thieves, potentially. Because our runners do need the hammer to get to that big chest, and without the hammer, it seems like they're going to find it elsewhere. They might actually have to come back here later on.
Yeah, Benteezy setting up for a scripted fight. Of course, for Blind, it does not matter what type of weapon you use. It takes 3 hits per phase, and 3 phases in total for 9 hits. As Benteezy gets a textbook fight, is only rewarded with another piece of heart, but more importantly, another crystal. One of the 5-6 crystals, in fact.
All right, so let's look at our runner's options right now. Of course, Ben has not dipped into Skull yet. He might option that right now. After that, our runners have a couple of plays. You've mentioned Ice Palace, of course, is one. They do have access with the Fighter Sword and Bombos. The other option is a pod dip without the hammer.
Oh yeah, that is true. The hammer is in the Palace of Darkness in the vanilla game, so there are at least a couple of chests that you can check without the hammer. Of course, having the bow as well does unlock the bow lock side. in addition to the chests available.
Oh,
But
Ben's
other
gonna
than
catch
that,
purple chest right now first.
oh, an interesting play as well. Be interesting to see if anything major ends up being there. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty much going to be dungeon diving if Benteezy comes up empty with the purple chest. He's taken.
Yeah, he's taking it with him. Anyone that thought he was just gonna bail on purple chest, here you go.
Wow.
So there's a quirk in the game in Link to the Past is that if you take a follower with you and you fall down a hole, regardless if it's a dungeon, you can actually take said follower with you. So you can actually take the frog with you in this scenario as well.
Yeah, whenever you do try to enter a doorway, the game will give you a little text box saying that you cannot. So the drop down hole, it would be quite weird to just keep you there hovering in mid-air. Oh, almost loses his chest, but does manage to pick it back up. As Smight is going to check the pyramid.
And I do believe Ben can check this as well as long as he's not grabbed by the wall master.
Yeah, unfortunately, not having the Canis Mario will have to do this the developer intended route by pushing and pulling the statue. Definitely not a desirable method, but does get it done fairly quickly as well. Only rewarded for a dungeon item, not what he wanted to find, but with that, he does scratch the skullwards of the map as Smight is opting to dive into Palace of Darkness hammerless.
I can't blame Smight for this play either. Probably the safer of the two routes between Ice and Pod. Pod does have a potential for more items, and they could, in fact, if they do get the hammer here, clear it without the lamp.
Yeah, we are still running around lampless, although nothing so far has been lamp locked, as far as I'm aware of. And with that, Benteezy. Whoa! Oh!
That's a play. So now we got the hook shot. That's going to open up East Death Mountain and Dark World Death Mountain for Smight.
Yeah, that is an additional, like, 15 items. Or somewhat number.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the catalyst for breaking open the seed now for progression.
Wow. Meanwhile, as I was saying, Benteezy cashing in all of his fetch quests. We'll be getting his prize money from the sick kid as Smight continues on to the Bowlock section of the Palace of Darkness.
I'm curious as to where Ben's going right now. It did look like he was going towards Ice, but then he just decided to flute to 3. Maybe he's kind of checking out the bumper cave for Scout.
Yeah, and also this is his only way into the Dark World, and as chat's pointing out, we might even see the Palace of Darkness routing.
Yeah.
Yeah, having the hammer or missing the hammer 45 minutes in is quite remarkable, as the hammer does have the most dependencies in the game, locking the most amount of items.
Yeah, it's funny how many times you take advantage of that hammer and you just don't realize the hard things you have to go through with just the glove. Right, so as Ben makes his way towards Pod, Smight is clearing out the dark maze room in Old Man Rescue.
Yeah, he gets through with little trouble. Of course, having the sword does give you a constant point of reference. Will be receiving his magic powder. Definitely a welcome safety item. But with that, we'll more importantly be checking out the eastern side of Death Mountain, as well as the Dark World counterpart. Now, unfortunately, not having the mirror, we'll have to group both of the worlds in their own little package. So it'll be interesting to see if Dark World is first. No, it does look like the Light World dungeon, or Light World Death Mountain is going to be the first one, as Benteezy expends his 100 rupees to Kiki for Powers of Darkness access.
Affording that, of course, easily with how many rupees have been thrown out at our runners so far.
Yeah, I believe we have found three 300 rupees, about 100 rupees, and like a handful of 50s. As Benteezy gets his hook shot, Smight is in the Paradox Cave. 5 chests to check here behind the mini Moldorms. And what?
More rupees, more hearts. Oh, there we go!
Oh, stop it! The cane! Oh my, what a seed. Oh. I mean,
this point,
Kane doesn't really do anything either for our runners, I don't believe.
it does open up an option, but they're not going to be happy about it. Pendant Mire is now open, although without the lamp.
Ooh,
Was open with the hookshot, but now for full clear with that Rick Cane.
Yes, as we find the Quake Medallion on the floating island on Death Mountain. Meanwhile, Smight performing the Bootless Sparrow Cave. It's going to take a literal minute to take this walk. Benteezy taking a smart death warp out of the dungeon. As well, the Bollock side did not turn up with much of anything.
Interesting too, because I believe Smight actually bailed after the Mimic side of things, so Ben's actually electing to check out the Dark Area pods. Of course, one room in pod left in Logic is the Turtle Room. The Harmless Hellway is now in Logic with the 2 small keys here.
Ooh, fortunately, he takes a little hit from the Helmasaur. Smight finds the hammer, and more importantly, the bug net, or maybe the other way around.
I would say it's the other way around.
Oh man, that's also Turtle Rock access as well, unless Quake is required for Turtle Rock. But first though, Hookshot Cave. Coming up with half magic. Definitely a nice item to get. A blue potion. Definitely save some money there. But other than that, not much to be found. Well, that hammer opens up a plethora of locations, as well as that as well as the ability to full clear Ice Palace, as we are going to see that from Smite's side. That does also put the Mad Batter into logic with the power we found on the old man.
Ben's got to be careful here. 1 heart. He is not setting up a death warp because the big chest will end his run here in pod, as we do know the hammer is in Death Mountain.
Smight, meanwhile, making excellent use of his hook shot. And unfortunately, Ben not finding what he's looking for will take the death to get to the start of the dungeon, and we'll go back in. Oh, the vanilla Bixie chest is yet to be checked, I believe.
That should be a small key, though. Oh, he hasn't checked down the drop-down chest either. Okay, so it possibly could be an item here.
Yeah, either of these two. Yeah, the small key because it is locked behind a small key door, and then this should be one of the items. An empty bottle. And with that, Ben is out of there. Smite, meanwhile, making his way into the lower parts of the Ice Palace. Gets a very nice kill on the... I don't even know what they're called. Stalfos? Knights?
Yep, Stuffos. Yeah, very neat sequence indeed, getting the 2 Stalfoses killed with the 1 bomb. Smight actually setting up one of the harder bomb jumps in the game, the Ice Palace bomb jump. Made a little bit harder with the Fighter Sword lineup.
Yeah, the IPBJ requiring 2 pixel perfect placements, 1 for the bomb, 1 for your character. A lot of runners will use... Unfortunately, gets hit by the fire bar. We'll have to show it off a second time. But as I was saying, often the first part is done with the shadow, where the second part is usually done with the sword. But the fighter sword is actually a single pixel thinner than the master and tempered sword.
Yeah, it could definitely be a little bit tougher to line up, as Smight had to demonstrate for a second time.
Meanwhile, Ben receiving his skin of Sumaria. I almost said burner then. As we're going to see another bomb jump from Benteezy. A little bit easier than the Ice Banners one. Definitely one of the more time-saving bomb jumps.
So I'll put this out there as well. In Ben's situation, if he wanted to, he can actually check out Spike Cave as well with the amount of hearts he has currently. So he does have an interesting option here. Meanwhile, we do have Smight continuing on his climb through Ice Palace. Is going to be checking out the 3 chests on the right here.
Yeah, thankfully, having found that hammer does give access to these 2 locations, as these little moles are blocking the way. Does find the big key. Benteezy, meanwhile, completing the Spiral Cave while receiving his piece of art. Who did manage to kill one of the critters then with those bombs. Did you hear that in the background going off? No, that ban will be receiving his hammer and booknet shortly.
He's going to be really happy with that bugnet.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't finish the game without it. Well, technically.
I say
Cool.
he's gonna be happy to see the bug net too, because he just had to do 2 dungeons without the hammer that you ideally would like to have him with. So he's gonna be like, oh, at least I got the bug net with it too.
Ooh, Smight unfortunately falls into the hole, then gets hit by the bomb's explosion as he was falling. Will get the mirror for that mistake. Wow. Definitely a huge item. Does open up the Swarm Palace dungeon though. Something that our runners would rather not have seen, I'd imagine.
Also does open up Quake, which we do not know if T-Rock requires or not, but Ben is going to be kind enough to give us a skill right now for that.
No dual ether for both of our dungeons today. Oh yeah, that mirror also allows us to get that sword upgrade on Spectacle Rock as well.
Indeed it does, and Ben will be making suit now to go into Ice Palace.
Yeah, definitely not a bad choice. We'll be happy to find this mirror, as it does open up a as it does make Darkwood routing a bit more convenient with Light and Darkwood check, as well as opening up a couple of mirror locations.
Right, and in Benteezy's case, actually, since he is entering in Ice Palace, once he completes this dungeon, he will have access to Fat Fairy as well now.
Oh yeah, that is true. Ben did clear Thieves down earlier when he was on his first trip. Is going to burn all of these Pengators to the ground using his Bombage Medallion. Thanks to that half magic. Very nice to have in the Ice Palace. Meanwhile, Smight taking on Cold Stare with the hammer. Definitely one of the more difficult fights due to the fact that the hammer's hitbox is not the friendliest. Does have to drink his blue potion. Or dying to cold. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to die to him. I feel like the hitbox is very generous, so as long as you stay to the north here, and if you can stay along the north wall like Smight just is right now, the falling ice will actually absorb in the wall and not give out any shrapnel to injure Link.
Ooh, has to be careful, down to 2 hearts. A hit of anything will do him in, so we'll have to be careful. Does manage to take care of the last puff. And the first troubles will get the Cane of Burner, which also unlocks the Spike Cave location. Indeed, a very nice job from Smight, as well as from Benteezy, getting that bomb jump. Does manage to make it through in one go. Does not have to show us multiple times.
No, he doesn't.
And with that mirror, I do believe Smight is going to take the invite to get that sword upgrade, as well as a probable check for the Tower of Hera. Now, depending on the big key location, we may or may not be able to full clear the dungeon due to still having not found a fire source.
Which is odd, because it is almost an hour into our seed. But you can't blame them for running in this way. Hera being a crystal dungeon, might as well check out to see if that fire source is required. And as you mentioned, we'll be able to hit up that Master Sword on the way.
Yeah, and if we manage to find the Book of Majora, that does also open up both of the tablets. And of course, as chat will be excited about, that will also allow our runners to check the pedestal. Although at this point, not much could be on there. Except for maybe the boots. If the Ganon Tower big key is wants to be evil.
It'd be amazing if this is another dungeon they have to potentially dip for an item.
Oh, meanwhile, Smight does have the ability to continue on in the tower, as the big key was available before the small key. Yeah, thankfully, with that hookshot, we'll be able to check the big chest the fast and easy way. We'll have to jump. We'll have to drop down though to get back, as we have yet to find the boots as well.
Right, and just a single green rupee so far in Hera. We do have one more stab at finding the second item in Moldorm here, but if he drops the small key, then basement will be required for that second item.
Ben getting a nice clip with the hookshot, making it very easy to get down those steps without the boots. We'll be receiving his mirror as Smight is hopping into his Moldorm fight. We're going to see some hammer strats today as Fighter Sword, or Master Sword rather, will require spins to do the exact same amount of damage.
Pretty clean fight there. And it looks like I'm going to get my wish. Can't complete Hera to get the second item. So that they join now the illustrious group of double dip dungeon potential, with Thieves Town having that big chest still open as well.
Yeah, again, in the end, this might come down to single item locations such as Hera Basement, Thieves Town Basement. And speaking of single items, Smight opting to take that Cane of Burner into the Spike Cave, as Benteezy is showing us his version of the Green Mail Cold Step fight. Oh, Cold Step does a load of damage with the Blue Mail, or Green Mail, sorry. Yeah, I knew there was a blue rupee in there, so that's why my mind was blue. Dabba-dee-dabba-da.
Brandon's having a little bit of a tough time here, being very aggressive, getting a lot of up hammers. He wants to stay along the north here and just go for the safe side hammers.
One more puff to go.
That poor Puff was kept running away. No, I don't want to die. Gets his blue cane.
Ooh, very nice fight from Benteezy, managing to make by with the hammer. Smight will give us our first look into Desert Palace, having found the mirror, being able to use the Misery Mire Swamp area to enter this dungeon in a quite creative way. We do find the small key on the torch, so unless this is the big key, well, never mind.
So at this point, boots are not required for Desert in Logic, as the players can complete the dungeon without it, but they will not be able to check out the 2 raid chests that require that small key.
And there's a fire source! Oh my god.
Alright, there goes my dream for Thieves Town Big Chest, having the fire rod leading to ice rod in Hera.
Oh god. I think that our runners are happy though to not find that happening. So that fire rod does allow Smight to immediately complete the dungeon. So with that, Smight is practically in go mode, provided that he is comfortable with with dark rooms. Benteezy, meanwhile, taking up the big bomb for 100 quid. We'll be checking out the Cursed Fairy, leading to another 2 items as Smight finishes off Mulder with the Fire Rod very quick. And will receive another crystal for his troubles.
And we do get a map from Lamo, so once again, another dungeon that has a item locked away that our runners can't get to. That's 3 dungeons so far, that's nuts.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting if we find the big key on the torch in Ganon's tower. Meanwhile, Smight is going to go back to the Palace of Darkness as Benteezy gets not much of anything from the Cursed Fairy.
You know, I guess it's time to mention that Smight is kind of in go mode.
Yeah, I did allude to that earlier, provided that he is fine with lampless, and of course provided that the boots are not required for.
I was
the bird.
Leap at the wheel of that one.
Wow, that was almost amazing to watch that bird just keep up. Ice Rod, by the way. Oh no.
That's
no.
easy. He's like, I want it, I don't want it.
Oh. Wow.
Little does he know he's gonna find the good rod in Desert Palace.
Yeah, we'll do that momentarily. Yes, he is going to check out the eastern. Or not eastern. We're on the other side here. The Desert Palace will be in lampless go mode.
So that actually will route a little bit better for Ben, as he's going to be able to pick up his Master Sword and finish off Hera while going to GT. Yeah, Ben was doing a lot of frustration slashes. I really do see him being very happy once he sees this big chest.
Yeah, definitely. The reason that he did skip that ice rod is that it really opens up only one location, and that is Trinex, and by extension, the pedestal. But with that, Benteezy is also in lampless go mode. Smight, meanwhile, being on his first trip through Palace of Darkness, we'll have to search for the big key. We'll only find a small key in this chest, but I forgot where the big key was when Benteezy dove into Palace of Darkness.
It was in the Dark Recruit room. He actually does have the big key right now, so he will be heading on towards Helma.
Oh yeah, there's. I did unfortunately miss that. As Benteezy is going to make his way to his respective boss room. Again, with silver arrows and fire rod in hand, half magic. This will be just as textbook as Smight had. Yeah, of course, the only item Benteezy is still missing is that Master Sword, which is required to beat the game, but he will get that on his way to the Tower of Hera. as it is located on top of the Spectacle Rock. Now, since Smight your energy, Smight being in arguably one of the more difficult rooms, dark rooms in the game, we'll have to phase off against the Terrapins. One room from now does have the fire rod to light the torch, which does make it a little bit easier, but still, this is by no means an easy room. And who gets a nice grouping of them.
Yeah, Smight did make quick work of that turtle room with the fire rod, lighting up the torch. Luckily, did have half magic, made it a little bit easier. That room can definitely be stressful if you run out of magic there. Ben now going towards a go mode skull. He has cleared the half. He is just going to be going right towards Mothula right now. So our brothers are pretty close on crystals as it is. Of course, with Smight finishing off Helmet here, he'll be able to mirror back out right towards Eastern and finish off the Armos Mites. Alright,
Yes.
Pretty clean fight for Smight there. Well done.
Yeah, very solid indeed. Of course, with the silver arrow, all it takes is one arrow to the weak spot of Helmets for King. Benteezy, meanwhile, making his way through the second part of Skullwoods. Of course, Fire Rod and half magic in hand will be quite liberal with his shots. Having more than enough magic to make to take quick care of Mothula. How funny would it have been if the Warmaster grabbed the Gibdo or the Smoky and then just ran off with it?
We're going to see some variants of Hammer and Fire Rod Moth here from Ben's side.
Very nicely done. Gets the Bicky for his troubles, but more importantly gets that all-important crystal. Only has the Palace of Darkness and the Tower of Hera dungeon to do, as Smight is making his way into the Eastern Palace. Does already have the Smoky from his first visit, where he unfortunately took a death and decided to go elsewhere.
Yeah, this is really shaping up to be close. Ben, of course, only has to go right to Helmasaur here. Does have all the keys for pod that he needs to get there. Smight going to be finishing up Armos very quickly and be going towards Skullwoods and Thieves Town for his last two crystals. And nice fight from Smight on the Armos Knights there.
Of course, Smight still does have to finish up both the Thieves Town as well as Skullwoods. Thankfully, though, in close proximity within each other, we'll be finishing off both of the crystals shortly. Benteezy, meanwhile, making use of his Cane of Sumaria having to, being able to forgo the block pushing or the statue pushing puzzle, as we will see his version of the Turtle Dark Rooms.
Yeah, it's just rather unfortunate Smight didn't have the fighter sword on his first trip here throughout Thieves Town. That sword, of course, on digging game that Smight did look like he unfortunately forgot. I feel this match could have been much, much closer if he had not had that happen to him.
Yeah, of course. Within the randomizer, there are loads of things that you have to keep track of in terms of where you can go, where the seed generally wants you to go, whether you are still in logic or not. So definitely, any slips of the mind are definitely not uncommon. Nice fight there from Benteezy, getting a very nice pattern. As Smight will be showing us their blind fight. Very nicely done, and with that, Benteezy is making his way to his final dungeon, the Tower of Hera. Thankfully, go ahead.
Sorry. And Smight making his way to his final dungeon as well in Skullwoods.
Yeah, the one advantage that Ben has is that he is already on the mountain, whereas Smight still has to climb it after finishing off Mothula. But other than that, this is still a very close race, and could come down to a left side, right side. Ganon's Tower. Oh, oops. I hope you have a minute, Ben.
Welcome to the world's longest text box and randomizer.
Yeah, the developers actually added a couple more, just for good measure.
And the deadlock.
Oh, this game not having it for Ben. But with that, we'll be entering the Tower of Hera as Smight is entering the second part of Skullwoods.
Man, this is going to be a really close G-Tower entry by the looks of it. Smight about to finish off his fight with Mothula. Ben about to enter in his Holdorm fight here.
Yeah, both the runners definitely very close to each other. Smight does finish up the
Oh,
the Mothra fight.
yeah, Ben taking a fall there, going to cost him around 25 seconds to get back into that.
Yeah, but more importantly, with that, Smight did collect his 7th crystal. And here on the Speed Gaming channels, if you are a subscriber to any of the channels or have donated 250 bits, you can participate in the Big Key guessing game. Give us a random number between 1 and 22 where the Ganon style Big Key is located. So, Solsky, where do you hope it's going to be?
Firebar room as always.
Solid choice. I'm going to be a bit evil and say number 3.
We do have a question in chat of which one do we count first, and it'll be the first runner that enters GT will be counted against for the chests.
Wow,
it's gonna be so close.
Yeah, this is basically there are 2 routes up Death Mountain. Unfortunately, Smight misses the block clip, which will put him behind Benteezy, but by no means is Benteezy in the lead, as it can come down to a left or right side gamble.
Yeah, this is essentially going to come down to G-Tire Road. If it's a free red around, then it's fine, but if they have the option of right or left, it could really come down to that.
And yes, because Benteezy is the first one to enter Ganon's tower, Ben's count will be counted for the Big Key game. And with that, it does look like Ben is immediately going to check the bonkable torch to. Oh, for a second, I saw the key color.
Yeah, just not quite the key he was not wanting to see, but it is a small key, so luckily boots are not required. And we do have Smight going right first for those first 2 chests here.
Meanwhile, Benteezy going for the Dark Magician strats. Checking the left side. As we get a virtual high 5 on the stairs.
And that's going to work out for him because he is going to have the key for right side now. Whereas in the front 2 in right side did not have any.
Yeah, this could very much come down to whichever side has the key.
Imagine if it's just a race to ice almost, that'd be great. Right side, of course, would have the advantage there.
Ooh, thankfully gets around the master hand. Or the wall master, I mean, sorry. Wrong franchise. Smight coming up on the firebar room.
And it was right side.
Right side was the answer. Benteezy finding the big key in the 7th. Right?
I believe that's 8. Oh, 9, I guess.
9. We're gonna go with 9. And with that, Benteezy is the first one up to the gauntlet. A series of rooms designed to test the most adventurous of adventurers. Of course, thankfully, with almost every single heart collected within the game, as well as having silver arrows, half magic bombos, fire rod. Not going to be too much of a challenge. Smight is continuing his search through the Ganon's tower, currently in the randomizer room. Finds another full heart. Man, we haven't seen enough of those this seed.
Yeah, and with Smight committing to full left side here, going towards Ice Armos, just going to put him a little further behind here as Ben is ascending through Gauntlet. Now, one thing that could help Smight right now is if he were to find a Tempered Sword, but I feel like at this point, with just the where Ben is in the G-Tower climb, it might be a little too late.
Yeah, Tempered Sword being one of the nicer items, as it does speed up the Ganon fight quite significantly, as opposed to the Master Sword spins. As normal slashers will simply not even touch Ganon, so. And with our runners still being on Greenmail, Ganon, getting a hug from Ganon will do 8 full hearts of damage.
Good thing they almost picked every heart up from the game, huh?
In a sense, yeah.
It was actually getting to a point where I thought they would get all 20 before they hit go mode.
That would have been amazing. Although quite unlikely. I mean, with the amount of places that we skipped, the entirety of Turtle Rock, the entirety of Swamp Palace, so that is probably where the remainder of our hearts are hiding. Though we will not see that for this race, as Smight finds the cape behind Ice Armors, as he finds out that he is in the wrong side of the tower. He will have to go to the. Oh, not sure what Smight is doing.
Hmm? Oh no, he ran out of keys.
Oh.
That's devastating.
Oh, that means that he will have to find the boots, correct?
Yeah, because that torch key is on there for the boots.
Oh no. Oh, that is rough. That is very rough.
That's also very rare. Wow.
Wow, I didn't even know that was possible, but man, what a way to find out. As Benteezy finishes off the second Modern Refight, we'll be heading into the second Engenin fight. Very fittingly gets a piece of heart from the final chest in the game. Oh, but this is really rough. Smight going to hope for his best chances, going to the nearest location, Turtle Rock, which does have a total of 6 items, 5 within the dungeon, 1 within Mimic Cave. Oh.
Chad also pointing out a very interesting point. He did not check out Tyler Room either, so that might also have that small key.
But with that, Benteezy is into the Ganon fight. Only with the Master Sword will have to use the Master Sword spins. Smight takes a Death Orb out of the dungeon to refill his hearts.
Having a pretty nice go of it so far. Going to be entering phase 2 in the God spawn for Ganon being in the top right corner here.
Yeah, we'll be able to get a double hit off.
With a very nice zero cycle on the second phase.
Benteezy coming up on the final phase of Ganon with Silver Arrows, going to take 4 to finish off the beast. Unfortunately, does not get the torch glitch. Now, thankfully, due to half magic, not as required. But we'll definitely be spending a little bit more time lighting the torches. But with that, Benteezy does manage to finish off Ganon, and will enter the Triforce room momentarily. Smight, meanwhile, making his way through the Turtle Rock dungeon, looking for those boots, with Benteezy finishing with an official time of 1:32:10. Get your GGs in chat. And wow, that did just happen. And with that, Smight has decided to forfeit from the race due to his unfortunate mistake.
Yo, what's up, friends?
Joining with us today is Benteezy. Good evening and congratulations.
Yo, what happened to Smight?
So in the end, where it came down with, the small key was on the torch, but he went to the wrong side, so he ran out of small keys. And then, not realizing that the small key would be in Tire Room, I believe, he went into Turtle Rock looking for the boots, but unfortunately saw you finish and decided to forfeit from the race, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay. I thought he had like missed something somewhere, like I've gotten stuck, because that's usually why people forfeit. But that's unfortunate as well.
Yeah, you were maybe 20 seconds ahead of Smight entering in GT. And then doing
that's really close.
Doing the Dark Magician route really did put you ahead as you were ascending Gauntlet as he was committing to full lap, and then the key scenario happened, and that just put things way off the rails.
Man, that was a hard seed. It was fast for a bootless seed, but
Hello.
Yeah, it was definitely fast.
yeah, it was Smight. GG's.
Smight.
Bootless, not mine, and boots required actually. Whoops.
Oh yeah, well that.
How did you do Ganon's tower?
I always do left to right. So I always go to the Stealthless room and then mirror out and then do the right side. That way I can go full right even if the right doesn't have a key.
I was out of keys. Did I miss one or something?
Well,
Room.
I didn't waste any keys on the left, so I pick up the one from the pot and then I did the Stealthless room and then I immediately mirror. So that allows me to go right with the key from the pot, even if there's no keys in the first 6.
Oh, yeah, I see.
And then the big key was on the right, so I didn't need any more keys. I just needed the one from the pot and then the one from the Helmosaurus.
I think we were close based on your
Yeah.
time. Until
Solsky said we were 20 seconds apart entering GT.
I found out that there weren't any extra keys at all, and I did the boss, the Armos, and then I had to just leave and find the boots.
commentators saying there might have been one in Tau Room. I don't know if you checked there.
I couldn't get in, could I?
You just need
can get
Samaria.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Samaria.
The locked door is after the Tau Room.
Yeah, that's right. For some reason, I didn't even think I had Samaria. Wow.
I was kind of assuming the big key would be on right because they gave me Samaria, but Myra and TR weren't needed. So I was like, they gave me Samaria like really early. So I'm just gonna assume they gave it to me for the GT big key.
I'll just pretend I hate Tau Room so much that I left the fight. That's what I'm going with.
Excellent play.
And the rebound rod sleeps again. Is that a boomerang?
Yes, that is a red boomerang then.
So the red boomerang was on pedestal. Sorry for the spoilers. I know you guys are not there yet on the restream, but yeah, that
Oh yeah,
That-
and
last check pearl, almost last check hook shot, because the pod was the last thing I could do.
Same.
And then I was like, after getting mitts, I really wanted to go to ice, but I was like, I'm gonna put it off. Do some mitts stuff. And luckily I found the hammer. I was really scared that the hammer would be in ice. And then I bought a blue potion and I found the blue potion I think on Death Mountain, so I just toughed it up and went to ice. And luckily found the mirror and I went to desert, found fire rod, and that was it. I hate
Yeah,
walking
about
around
that.
everywhere.
I would
Yeah.
have a bunch of dungeons twice. Because I didn't want to go to pod over there. I didn't want to do that. Well, anything. I didn't have anything for a long time.
I think we had our Dark World access was like bow, flute, mitts, and pearl. Like I don't think we had anything else at that point.
I had those items for like an hour.
Yeah.
I got to Dark World. I used all my money on Zora. I had like 60 rupees, so I had to skip the digging game. Find out it's a sword later. And I can't do the dark rooms without a sword, so I had to go into Thieves Town twice. I couldn't do that dungeon without a way to kill blind.
Yeah, I did these twice as well. I did the first 4 and then I death warped out because there was no way to kill blind. And then I found flippers in Hype Cave and I swam across. I was like, when I went to Stumpy, I was like, I picked up the smith and then I was like, if I find flippers or hammer anywhere between here and Hype Cave, I'm going to pod. I don't care if this monkey eats my frog. And then I found flippers and I swim across and right as I'm about to walk into the pod section, I'm like, I have 61 rupees. That's unfortunate. So I just went and did Pyramid Catfish instead, and then wound up clearing the entire game before going back to pod. Because I was like, with the bow, we can at least check every chest. Like, I don't have an issue with the dark rooms myself, and I had the sword anyway. So that made it even easier. But yeah, that was a hell of a seed.
It was really frustrating. Bow only run for 50 minutes.
Definitely an interesting light world because you guys had like 4 items of progression. Everything was basically hidden in Dark World or in light world past Dark World phases. So it's definitely a treat to watch.
Everything I did in Dark World was wrong too. It was all the way to Palace of Darkness before I could get anything. That was the most miserable start I've ever had, I think. And then I screwed up really bad at the end.
I've never had 10 hearts before picking up a glove. That was the most hearts I've ever had in a seed with no like actual items. I think I had 17 hearts in Fighter Sword in Ice Palace.
Yeah, you guys had like 10 hearts, like pre 10 minutes. It was nuts.
Seed was trying to show us love because he knew he was gonna mistreat us later.
Pretty much.
I was really worried Eastern Palace would have the fire rod or something. I couldn't get the boss dead. I missed with my shots trying to do it in the dark.
Yeah, it was just 50 rupees, I think. Well, I mean, you were in GT, you know that now. But...
Alright, and on Ben's side of things, 0 bonks, nicely done.
Did you expect anything less from my excellent execution? I do wonder where the boots were, though.
As you can see, probably your favorite item, and you can't even find them.
Well, I mean, I did right side, and he did left side, so they weren't in GT.
Yeah. I mean, I
And,
went straight to Turtle Rock to look for him. I figured.
So they had to be TR, Meyer, Swamp.
I mean, if it's really mean, it would be in Tile Room, but
I think with the setup he had, there has to be a key in Tile Room.
oh, actually no. With the key
Well, I
in
guess
Desert, it actually couldn't be in GT, so it would have to. You're correct. It'd have to be outside.
I actually forgot about that key too. I was like, because I saw the ice rod and checkerboard. I slashed at it 20 times, and then I was like, you know what? I'm actually not gonna pick it up because fire rod can't be on Trinex. And I walked out, and then as I was walking to Desert, I was like, oh no, what if Desert is Boots lock and Boots is on Trinex? And then I saw the key on the torch, and I was like, no, I have to go back and get the ice rod now. But then the big key was in the next chest. So I was like, oh thank God. So that was a funny sequence of events. Also, I never got a lamp. I don't know where that was.
It's in I just found it. There it is. In the cave.
Wow.
What?
That's a place for it.
No, I mean, if I didn't forget I could get into Tower Room, I would have been done probably in an hour 40, which seemed like I would have been happy with that time on this freaking mess. It felt like it was going really bad for a long time, but it all came together really fast once we had the hook shot, right?
Yeah, it was like hookshot gave hammer, and hammer gave fire rod and mirror for the two things we were missing. Well, hammer gave mirror, mirror gave fire rod. Like the hookshot was blocking everything and it was sitting in pod. I always dislike when the key item is in the first chest of pod because it makes me think like, should I just leave? And then I full clear pod for nothing.
I actually left right away. I felt like I was behind.
I felt like I was.
Nice Phallus.
I felt like my routing was really efficient. Like I wasn't double checking like any sections of the map, like or double tipping any dungeons. So I felt like I was doing okay. But the fact that we were walking and had fighter sword, I was like, everything that we have to do, we're gonna complete at the same pace. So I can't really like build a lead, even if I'm efficiently checking, because no boots. Feels bad. Hopefully, the fall tournament will just be boots auto equipped to Link, and anybody can have fun in that one.
Please make it happen.
Let's start a petition.
I'll sign.
That would definitely be very, very amazing. Now, on that note, do you lads have any remaining thoughts on this seed or the race as a whole?
I mean, I was just happy to see you finish. Honestly, I wanted to quit when I thought I needed the boots. So the good game. Thanks for winning. Because I would have totally
GG's, man.
I would have scoured the earth looking for the boots before I went back in there.
I'm happy I won this one because that means I only need to win one more to qualify for the next round. So hopefully I can win one of my next 3 games.
Yeah,
then...
I'll definitely be looking forward to watching both of these excellent runners performing again in another tournament race. Again, be sure to follow Benteezy as well as Smight on Twitch, as well as a huge shout out to our tracker Yoinka's wife for making our jobs a lot easier, as well as shout outs to my co-commentator Solsky for commentating this race for me. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Alright, have a good day, bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And on that note, that's going to wrap up another edition of our Link to the Past Spring Randomizer Tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed, and of course, if you enjoy what you're seeing, give a follow to Speed Gaming 1 through 5 and a Link to the Past Randomizer channels 1 through 4 to keep up on all the amazing randomizer action that's been going on for the next couple months. So, I've been Solsky.
And I've been Stan.
All right, we'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.
See you next time.